Alright, so a little while ago I did an initial review of this. Ronin Katana's Euro number 12, what they call their Valkyrie Viking sword. And they advertise it as being lighter and more comfortable in the grip than their number 8 Beowulf Viking era sword. Now, as an entry for me into this kind of sword, I figured this was a good choice, and you've seen me do a number of reviews of Ronin Katana European style swords. Why? Because so far, consistently, I feel like they've been very, very good value for the money. They're usually less than $400. Most of the ones I picked up, less than $300. Good steel, well-shaped blades, functionally cutting sharp out of the box. They're tough, they're well balanced. A couple of drawbacks you get in terms of the cost cutting that we'll take a look at today, one of which is just a really simple stainless steel fixtures, which on something like a longsword or an arming sword doesn't really bother me too much, but on a sword like this, which the hilt is normally a lot more ornate, yeah, this looks very modernized Art Deco, just completely ahistoric, and they're not really going for a historic sword. Same thing with the sheaths. As we look at the scabbards, they are very modernized, leather-covered wood core with plain metal fixtures. Yeah, not very historic. They're not going for historic, but when it comes to, you know, handling and blade geometry and things, that's where they shine. Now, this sword has a 25 3/4 inch blade, so a little bit on the short side. It weighs 2 pounds, 3 ounces, and you'll notice that the guard and the pommel are slightly swept away from the hand, making it very comfortable. I've been working with this sword for a little while now, and I love it. I just love the way it feels, love the way it handles, and thanks everyone who gave me input on where to go for advice, direction, instruction on how to use these. It's really come in handy, and I'm finding that not only does it appeal to my history with a Chinese gen, it's a very easy transition for me in terms of handling and technique, but also the shape of the pommel, which I thought would be problematic. Once I kind of learned how to sink it in there, we're really going to take a look at this with the sword we're going to look at today. I'm really liking what that does for me. So this is a sword that is, you'll notice I don't have my brace on. Very easy for me to use. It's very quick. It's very maneuverable. It's very stiff for the thrust, and it has really good authority in the cut. Point of balance is sitting at 4 1/4 inches. Grip length also happens to be 4 1/4 inches. This is a cord wrap grip. All my other Ronins have leather wrap over cord. We'll talk about that in a second. Fit of the scabbard was good, but yeah, just really appeals to me. However, I feel like I'm kind of cheating again by picking a sword that is, well, lighter than a lot of historic examples, also shorter than a lot of historic examples, or just a lot of other Viking era swords out there. Am I being kind of a wimp? So, yeah, Mike had to go back to SBG and pick up the bigger one. So let's talk about the Beowulf. All right, got to do this part first. Out of the box. I mean, it's not a katana or even a halfway decent knife, but for a sword, pretty good. And that's consistent across all of the Ronin Katana Euro swords I've gotten. The blade is very well shaped, no secondary edge grind, no ripples in the planes. This particular one, like the other Viking era sword, almost full length fuller, and where there is no fuller, you can see that it is actually a hexagonal shaped blade. Now, this is where things change. Side by side comparison, yeah, this is profound. Length, 29 7/8, almost 30 inches. Width, the other sword is just a little over 1.5 inches wide at the base. This is nearly 2 inches at the base. It also comes with a wider fuller because of that. Grip length, and we'll talk about the shape of the grip here in a second, it's 1/4 of an inch longer. So it's a 4.5 inch grip, if that makes any difference to you. And we'll talk about the leather wrapping and the other parts of it. But weight and point of balance. Weight, 2 pounds 12 ounces. So 9 ounces heavier than its little brother, or sister, I guess as the case may be, which makes it the same weight and similar length to the Ronin Katana Type 12 arming sword, which my friend Eric Hussein has described as kind of a crowbar. I've kind of gotten used to it, and I kind of like it. It's got a lot of authority in the blade, and it's a good cutter. And it's solid. If you want to know how solid these are, head over to Matthew Jensen's channel. He's done destructive videos on a number of these swords, including this one, I think, and he's had a hell of a time destroying them, so that's quite a testament. But even though similar weight and blade length, point of balance on this one is sitting at 6 1/4 inches. Makes it really, really, really blade forward. A lot of authority in the cut, but it's quite a strain so far on my arm. Does that make it a good tool for physical therapy? Yeah, well, that's what I'm going to apply it to, but I've got to be kind of careful. I'm going to have to be using my brace again a little bit more. And I want to talk about how the grip, though, plays into the weight. None of these specs are outside of, shall we say, the historic range for a sword like this. So that's all awesome. But let's talk about that grip and the fixtures, and then we'll talk about handling. All right, you've already seen me repeatedly hold it arguably wrong. Why? Because I'm holding it the way I'm used to holding any other sword, especially any other straight sword. But the dynamics of the grip, I'm starting to learn, and I'm really starting to appreciate. I thought I'd really hate this particular style of pommel especially. Now, going back to one of the reasons why I got the Valkyrie first instead of the Beowulf, is I was concerned about it, knowing that Ronin Katana tends to make guards and pommels, especially guards with very sharp edges. The pictures of the guard, I thought what I was looking at was straight on the hand side, perpendicular, and then on the blade side, a bit concave. Now, what it actually is it's slightly concave on either side, which means it curves a little bit back towards the hand, and yeah, the corners are a bit sharp. Does it cause a problem with the hand? No, because if you're holding it properly, your hand's out of the way of the guard at all times. Which gets us to the pommel. Now, the one on the Valkyrie is nicely curved back and chamfered and everything, and it's just pretty friendly. I haven't had to do anything to it. It's comfortable. This one I was worried about because that is a straight right angle, and yeah, the edges are not very rounded off at all. However, if you look at it this way, it is very curved that way. It does have some corners here. We'll talk about those in a second. I was really worried about how that would feel. And a lot of people tend to look at these and think this is a lot like a disc pommel on a tulwar. It locks your hands into a hammer grip. But if you're holding it right, and I'm learning, so forgive my questionable form, check that out. Straight in line with the arm, no problem. Now, I have a medium width hand I've described before, but really short fingers and thumb. So I can actually get my thumb up here on like a saber grip. Most of you probably wouldn't be able to do that because, yeah, the average thumb is probably about 1/2 inch or more longer than mine. But yeah, in something like a handshake grip with my pinky down towards the pommel and then the flat of it into the heel of my hand. So again, even extended this way, yeah, you'll see me shaking a little bit because it's heavy. I'm not used to it yet. And I'm not wearing my brace, but I can do it. I can hold it out here. It's comfortable, no hot spots, straight. And I haven't really run into too many hot spots cutting and swinging it around. Now, the corner here, I might have to round off, or this side of it, which is why I'm doing the review early. I might have to make some adjustments. Might have to round off the corners on either side because, yeah, it's just a little bit of bite right there. But not nearly as much as I thought. Now, check this out. If I grip it down here with the pommel more up against the heel of my hand, If I pronate my hand, that big flat wide pommel presses into my hand and gives me a lot of counter pressure, really helps me overcome the weight of the sword. That's really comfortable and feels pretty strong. But if I turn the blade true edge up in either orientation, here or here, I get a lot of counter pressure, leverage from the pommel against my pinky that makes the sword actually feel a lot lighter in these positions. Now, this may explain why, if you look at some of the classic manuals like 133, a lot of the ward positions, you'll notice they tend to hold the sword in some way so that the true edge is oriented upwards. So yeah, that could explain a lot of that, why those are favorite positions. Yeah, that really helps me overcome the weight of the sword. Now the grip, it's back to that Ronin Euro sword, cord, leather over the top. This one did come with a big rough seam, very high, a lot of hot spots. So I did take a moment to just kind of tamp that down, just kind of burnish it a little bit. It was an easy fix. I had mixed results with these in terms of their quality, in terms of the seams, but it's an easy thing to fix, and I did put some saddle butter on it. Feels a lot better. Interesting thing though, just as a side note, something about what they tan or treat their leather, it smells like bleach. All of them do. They have the same scent and they leave that on your hands. So I'm not sure what that's about, but the other thing, of course, is all the Ronin swords, they tend to have that white, I guess it's some sort of desiccant or something inside the scabbard. So I'm constantly having to clean the white goo off the blade. But yeah, the grip, I like the taper. Taper's nice. I don't know how I would do with one with a straight grip. I still am shopping. We'll see what I come up with next. But I'm liking this one a lot more. And like I said, I might make some minor changes. Or maybe not so minor changes. As I mentioned, these tend to come with very plain fixtures. Now this is peened, and you can see the peen, but it's not rough. But this just doesn't seem very historically authentic or aesthetically pleasing. So while I'm polishing and rounding things off, maybe I'll go ahead with this one and its little sister and make some decorative changes. Maybe. We'll see what I'm inspired to do, and then we'll revisit this sword later. But for now, yeah. Let's talk about the scabbard really quick. It is the standard Ronin Katana scabbard that comes with all of their Euro swords. So wood core, leather wrap stitched on the side. This one has the metal chape and the metal throat, and the cheap fake leather hanging system, which I usually immediately remove. Certainly not historically accurate to anything of this era whatsoever. It's very modern, so I may need to make some changes to this as well. But the scabbards I've gotten so far, the ones that don't have the metal throats and just folded over leather, I've had those kind of give out on me so that they get loose and the scabbards fall off, and I've had to shim them up. But it's not that hard to fix. The two I've got that have the metal throats, other than this one, they have really good fits and lockups, very smooth. But this one, yeah, you gotta check this out. There was a lot of epoxy slop all over it. Actually got on the sword too. Yeah, I don't want to push it in further than that right now, because when it came out of the box all the way in, I got a little nervous, having had experiences with swords that came to me rusted into their sheaths. Yeah, I had to free this with a mallet. Yeah. So that's going to need a little work. But hey, you get a sheath with your sword, and I got this for $275 at SBG. You can get it for pretty much the same price at Ronin Katana's own website. Is it worth the money? Yeah, I absolutely think it is, and I think it'll be a great addition to my training rotation. As I mentioned, I picked up, been watching some of the different channels and picked up a couple of the classics, so I'm learning things like arming sword and buckler, and yeah, sword and shield. So you may see reviews of some of those products that I pick up as I go forward. But yeah, I really am. I didn't think I'd enjoy this nearly as much as I'm enjoying this style of sword. I really thought this would be something that wouldn't appeal to me. And maybe it is the similarity to a Gen, or just the fact that Mike likes his straight cut and thrust swords, but yeah, really digging it. Especially for the money. So, to be continued. Let's get our conversation going in the comments. If you have this sword, other Ronin Katana Euro swords, other Viking era or transition migration era swords, let's talk about those. I can answer any questions you have, or tell me what you've experienced, what you own. Give me some recommendations. Like I said, Mike has never really done shopping, is he? No, I know my bank account doesn't love me for that, but hey, you guys do, right? Otherwise, as usual, thanks for watching, subscribing, liking, commenting, and I hope to see you back for, well, whatever I get myself into next.